The River Welland in Stamford, Lincolnshire credits Stephen Candler photography more Regency than Beau Brummell and as perfectly crafted as a Jane Austen novel. Stamford's historic centre is an unspoilt Georgian gem. This is largely because 50 years ago this month the Lincolnshire town was declared a conservation area. It was the first to be given this protected status and other towns quickly followed suit. Parts of Exeter and Plymouth were created conservation areas the same year, soon joined by Bath, York and the London areas of Blackheath and Greenwich in 1968. There are now more than 8,000 of these protected enclaves in England. We are a crowded little island where people value the ambience and nature of a place, says Steve Ingram, Strategic Director for Stamford South Kesteven District Council. Preserving and protecting the area is a key part of our makeup. 3 Kingsmill Lane, Stamford conservation areas are defined as places of architectural, historic or environmental interest, which are legally protected against certain changes. This means that if you own a home in one, any alterations you wish to make are restricted. Whether you want to lop a tree or replace a front door, you need to contact your local planning authority. The upside is that you might never have to look upon the horror of PVC windows ever again. Conservation areas appeal because they tend to be more attractive, but owners also like them because they offer stability. The extra planning constraints mean that the immediate environs are not going to have substantial change, says Nick Evans of Humbits Estate Agency. And there is also a little bit of prestige about them, too. The extra planning constraints mean that the immediate environs are not going to have substantial change, and there is also a little bit of prestige about them, too. These areas often contain listed buildings. Stamford has more than 600, but not always. There are almost 400,000 listed buildings in England, ranging from Blenheim Palace to the 30s built High Point 2 blocks of flats in Haringey, which are both within and without conservation areas. Anthony and Ghislaine Garvey live and breathe conservation. The retired couple live in Cerne Abbas, the Dorset village famous for the eponymous giant, a 180-feet figure with a large phallus chalked into the nearby hillside. However, the village is just as renowned for its roses round the door period charm. Based around a former Benedictine monastery, Cerne Abbas was named Britain's most desirable village by Savills. Most of it lies within a conservation area and is listed, right down to the wooden guttering. Anthony and Ghislaine Garvey at home in Cerne Abbas, Dorset credit J. Williams. The Garveys are selling their refurbished, Grade 2 listed 4-bedroom home, which is on the market with Humbits for £950,000, in order to downsize. They plan to stay in the village because they like both the local community and the fact that their pretty surroundings are unlikely to change. Conservation seems to me to allow the village and the countryside to remain not static but in character with where it was, says Anthony. Cerne Abbas combines a bucolic jumble of timber-framed, thatched and warm stone buildings. There is a local school, new village hall, 3 pubs, village store and a doctor's surgery, as the Garveys' home, a former farmhouse dating back to 1640, is within a conservation area and is also listed. The couple had to work closely with the local planning officer when they refurbished. An original window that refused to open could not be removed, and an 18th-century cupboard was not allowed to be altered. Sash windows could be renewed, but double glazing was a strict no-no. However, permission was granted for a small kitchen window to be replaced with light, airy and considerably bigger French doors that lead to the garden. He was happy to allow alterations, providing we did not do anything that basically changed the character of the house, Anthony says. Homes in conservation areas sell for a premium of homes in conservation areas sell for a premium of 10%, according to research by Hamptons International, rising to 12% in London. A more recent survey by English Heritage found that 82% of estate agents believe that period features add value to a property, and 78% feel that they help a home sell quicker. While many conservation areas are in charming and often highly desirable neighborhoods, they are by no means all ancient chocolate box country villages. Historic buildings, town centers, industrial areas, street grid, boundary walls and trees can all be protected. Conservation areas range from market squares to modern housing estates. Milton Keynes, one of Britain's largest new towns, is undertaking a new town heritage register to identify historic assets such as its distinctive grid layout and late 20th century architectural design. Though not initially proposing new conservation areas, it could well become a step towards them. A flat in Plymouth on sale with March and Pettisoe, a conservation area successful for the most part, yes, but not necessarily uniformly, says Lucy Denton from Bidwell's Property Consultancy's Heritage and Research Team. Pressures of funding and extensive or inappropriate development can affect a conservation area, she says. 1 in 7 conservation areas is at risk from neglect, decay or unsympathetic change, according to Historic England, and earlier this year 10 rundown conservation areas across the UK received £17 million of National Lottery money to help revitalise them. Another significant problem for conservation areas can, ironically, be lack of change. You can stifle innovation and sometimes discourage a 21st century contribution to places that actually represent an evolution of styles, says Dr. Jonathan Foyle, an architectural historian and broadcaster. Once you stop that evolution, you just replicate and it can become quite bland. Facadism is also often felt to be the curse of conservation, the practice of maintaining the exterior facade while gutting and building afresh behind it. Even pioneering Stamford suffered in the beginning when many of the interiors of older houses were ripped out, and at least one ancient church was gutted. In the early days, it was trial and error, Foyle says. Now they are more careful. A house in Stamford for sale with Savills, but equally there are many success stories. The redevelopment of post-war Princess A shopping precinct in Exeter in 2005 was initially controversial. However, the scheme, in the heart of the city's conservation area, opened up new views of the cathedral and has won awards. It's a similar story in Greenwich, southeast London. In the years since its centre became a conservation area, the town has managed to protect its Georgian character while adapting to contemporary life. Empty sites and car parks that were once used as flea markets in the 70s and 80s have been redeveloped. The old Royal Naval College, a Grade A listed building, has been revitalised and is now used as part of Greenwich University, and a new university library and college building has been built within the protected zone. Successful conservation areas such as these are essential in reinforcing and supporting local architectural identity, character and scale, says Denton, but should not prohibitively thwart all development.